Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Market Peak with Seth and Matt. It is Friday, February 19th, and we got a lot to cover. We're going to be talking about the GameStop hearings. We're also going to be talking about the microcap meltdown, which hit quite a people, including myself. We do want to say that this is not financial advice. We are not financial advisors. Definitely do your own research. Talk to your professional. So Matt's going to be having his 3 charts, and we're going to go ahead and be starting with my little portfolio. Matt, how's it going out there?
Good. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right, man. Happy Friday.
Good. Cheers.
I'll drink to that. All right, as you can see, took a little bit more of a beating. I knew it was going to happen. I got caught up in, the whole sundial thing over here, but that's all right. I've been doing okay elsewhere. So as you can see, about 500% up. Recent moves that I make is one, I got into space, SPCE, Virgin Galactic. It dipped like I knew it was going to. Once they canceled the flight back here, it dipped, and then it went all the way up, canceled another one, and it dipped. I expected to go up pretty quickly. I also bought some Palantir based on Matthew's recommendation, so really appreciate that. Worked out pretty well. Actually, is up a little bit from where I got it. But that being said, if you actually zoom out, it's pretty steady. Had a nice little rise and settled back down. I feel like we've gotten some support. What do you think? I mean, you've been following this one too.
A lot of interest in that stock. We'll see where the price goes. Definitely a good long-term bet in my opinion.
I think so. I mean, long-term bet 100% on that. And it's still relatively new. So it's got a lot of room to grow. And then lastly, so my favorite stock, I've been talking about this from the beginning. Like I said, I bought it at 80 cents, up freaking 90 some percent today, finished off, at a really, really high number. I ended up selling some at like 72%, and then it went up, and interestingly enough, ended up, going down and settled at about 78% up. But definitely a really, really good play on my part. Really, really happy about it. And, we'll see what happens. So there's a nice
Awesome.
Apple released some information about batteries. And whenever Apple releases battery information, people assume it's going to be Energis. So it's been just kicking ass. And it definitely saved me this week, because otherwise I'm going to be walking in here and I was going to have my tail between my legs. That's for sure.
Is Watt still a buy?
It's
What's it at now? $2?
It's $7.23. So I would say it's still a buy. If I actually go back to the year, if you follow it, shoots straight up, goes down a little bit, up, down, down, up, down. Every time it goes up, it settles down. I expect it to do the same. Those of you who are into puts, might be a good time. Definitely take a look at the chart yourself, see what you see. There was no official connection made. I think people are going to take their money and run like they always do, and they're going to buy back in. Exactly what I did. I sold 1,000 of my 2,200 shares. I'm going to let it wait, and then I'm going to buy it back in when it dips.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, it's the plan. I mean, we'll see how it goes. Obviously I'm rooting for me. That's for damn sure. So, all right. So, quick, the news story: GameStop hearings. What were your thoughts? I mean, you watched a little bit of it. What did you think? I mean, did you feel like it was necessary to even have them on TV? Because a lot of people tuned in.
No. I'm glad, first and foremost, that there's some focus now on some of these riskier practices that have up until now really gone under the radar. But at the same time, I can't help but scrutinize the entire concept of these hearings. So the 2008 financial crisis, bunch of major banks, hedge funds almost blew up the global economy.
Sure.
Where was the accountability there?
Sure.
I mean,
bailed out.
Eventually, a year or two later, banks were fined, but this stuff has been going on for a long time.
Yeah, it has.
Right? And I find it interesting that we're just now paying attention.
Do you feel like a lot of the lawmakers, especially the ones that seem to have been, they're older, let's just say it, do you feel like they had any idea this was going on? Obviously, the people involved, the people from, obviously Robin Hood and Roaring Kitty and all of those. I mean, you all know that they know what's going on. But you feel like the lawmakers were that tuned in to the truth?
Maybe not to this particular incident.
Sure.
It's a very complicated story. but I do think elder statesmen have some sort of idea that there are some corrupt practices out there that need to be examined.
Sure.
And they haven't really been, up until now, examined.
Do you feel like getting rid of the clearinghouses and getting rid of that 2-day delay, and when you buy a stock, you just own it and that's it? Do you feel like that would be an easy solution? Because it seems to me that's the only reason any of this happens.
Yeah, but that's never going to happen.
You don't think?
Because then you're cutting out the middleman, who in this case
would be the
a multi-billion-dollar company. Yeah, who I guarantee you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's DC, Wall Street. They work hand in hand.
So what is a solution in your have you thought of what one could be?
So you either have to let the market function like a free market,
sure,
or you have to regulate.
Sure.
And there are risks in both. My personal opinion, let the market do what the market wants to do.
What it seems to me is one of the lawmakers' side, one of the things that they seem to really like. We appreciate the fact that we do have the zero dollar trades. We understand that people, you're paying for flow, and that's what allowed a lot of people to actually get in. Because before, you used to need $2,000-$3,000 to open an account. You don't need that anymore. So there's good and bad to it. But the one thing that the lawmakers didn't want is any regulations that's going to make it more difficult for the average person to be able to get into, buying stocks and stuff like that. So. All right. Well, I mean, there's going to be plenty more of them. That's for sure. It was great to see Roaring Kitty himself, our DFV representing.
Deep effing value.
Yeah, dude. I just like the stock. He was great. He was awesome.
He was right.
Yeah, he was 100% right.
He was awesome.
Yeah. Had the hanging kitty, the hang in there thing behind him. So microcap meltdown. So this was a rough one. I mean, this was rough, and obviously I got caught in it because Shrimp, SHMP, obviously Sundial, Blue Sphere. Like I put money into these, not a lot, but it definitely. Well, Sundial was just but it was rough, man. I mean, did you see it coming? Did you feel like we were coming up to that?
No. But I do know, having participate in the options market, how volatile micro cap stocks can be.
Sure.
Nice.
No doubt.
Oh, definitely watch, because we said podcast.
Yeah, that's our other podcast.
Put in a friendly plug really quickly.
I mean, honestly, it's current events. We do 2 a week. It's a lot of fun. I mean, we're trying to make this one fun too, actually. We don't want to be too serious.
If you're looking for more of like a topical discussion of what's going on in the news, politics, then watch the podcast.
Sure. And some funny stuff, like our what the news. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just one of those situations where everything just kind of plummeted, and the S&P goes down, but the stuff I was watching, 10, 15, 20% over the week, some 30%. But it was nice to see everything rebound. So hopefully I feel like that was a little correction that we kind of needed, and I feel like they're all going to start moving back up, hopefully.
Yeah, so the Russell got hit.
Yep.
And what you want to think about is, what does that mean, right, for the other indices? What does that mean for the S&P, for the NASDAQ?
Sure.
So the Russell 2000 index typically tends to be a leading market indicator. People investing in small caps tend to have a greater appetite for risk.
Sure.
You're dealing with smaller companies, companies who have less access to debt markets, companies who may have been hit hard by COVID.
Yep.
So you could, on the one hand, say that this microcap meltdown is a very bearish signal, but at the same time, look what happened to the overall market. We still kind of floated higher.
Sure.
I think we continue to float higher.
Okay, I hope so. I mean, I feel like we're going to. There's going to be some losers out there, but it was definitely a necessary correction. That's for sure. So, I mean, all of them. I mean, a lot of them just been going up and up and up and up. So, hopefully, got a lot of the bears out. Now the bulls can come in.
Yeah.
All right. So, your featured stock last week, Diageo. Let me pull it up here. So, this was the one. I'm going to pull up the month so people can see. Actually, let me do the 3 month. So, this was your weekend feature. And it was one of the ones you considered a bit of a long play. It did trade flat for the week, which is completely fine for the most part, especially considering, how everything went for the rest of the, for the rest of the market. But it was one of those things. It was up, trickled down. So what are your thoughts?
It's a big market cap stock, so it's going to move within a tighter range.
Sure.
It's a big play on spirits. It's a big play on some of the biggest name brands out there on the shelf.
Yep.
There is talk about Diageo strategically realigning with a single distributor, Southern Glazer's Wine and Spirits.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which would be positive news for the stock.
Big time.
Absolutely.
Big time.
Yeah. So I'm bullish in the long term. It's a good balancer if you don't have any exposure to wine or spirits. So I think it's a good play.
And they're a solid company, and they do a lot of acquisitions and stuff like that as well. And
a ton.
Alcohol is just not one of those industries that you see a lot of failure in once you get to this level. That's for sure. Obviously, you can have startup liquor companies that with a new product that can fail, but when you're a big distributor like this, it's really hard to lose unless obviously stuff like COVID happened. But if you go back a year, you could see there's that big dip, but it's, right back to where it was, if not even higher. So one of those things you want to follow when there's a big dip, good industry, good stock to get into, and then you can ride it on the way back up. All right. Well, with that, let's, time for everyone's favorite segment, 3 charts with Matt. And we're going to start with the VIX as we always do. Let's do the 5-day. So you were expecting that we could maybe see it land under 20, but you've been also saying pretty much all along that it's been riding in between 20 and 23. And it pretty much has, except for that spike we had back in the GameStop thing. It's been pretty much humming along right there.
Yeah, so my expectation was that we moved lower and possibly put in a close below that 20 level heading into today.
Sure.
Options expiration. We didn't. We actually stayed within that tight trading range that we've been seeing, like you mentioned, that 22, 23 area.
Yep.
So I think next week, the VIX for the first half of the week maybe stays within that tightening range. But one thing to note is how we're continuing to hold support at that 19.5 to 20.5 level.
Pretty much.
That's noteworthy. So whereas I'm still overall bearish on the VIX, the spot index, I do think it heads lower over the next few months. I wouldn't be surprised if we had some sort of bounce. If you can't close, if the market is trying to close below a key support level and it can't, after a certain amount of tries, you have to anticipate some sort of bounce the other way.
Sure.
But if it does bounce, my expectation would be that it gets crushed pretty quickly and the VIX continues to move on its downtrend.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So I'm with you. I mean, I can't see what could come in that's going to really make this thing go up with the direction things have been going with the vaccinations. Everything's dropping coming into the summer. It's pretty much, January, February tends to be a slow month for everyone anyway. Christmas is over, New Year's. So we're coming into a time where a lot of stuff start ramping up as it is. So I agree 100%.
And we're also marking the 1-year anniversary of the COVID crash.
Sure. Oh, yeah. We're coming up.
And if you look at the charts and you compare year over year, we're in a very similar position as far as relative strength is concerned.
Sure.
We have overbought conditions, generally speaking, and yet the market keeps grinding higher. The VIX keeps getting suppressed. The dollar is heading lower. So it looks like a setup for another crash, you could say.
Really?
But I think, hold on.
Okay.
I'm not bearish. Okay. I think given the Fed's activities and given this rapid recovery we're seeing, I think we have a pretty good year for stocks.
Okay. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a great year for what? WATT, folks.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's the sleeper. Although it's not a sleeper as much anymore. All right, so next, GLD. So we got the Spider Gold Trust here, and 167.01. Is that the one you wanted to, or did you actually want?
Yeah, it's the big gold
Okay,
ETF.
just making sure. Sure.
So I think gold is an interesting chart to look at right now. Obviously, we're not looking at the spot chart. We're looking at an ETF, which tracks the spot price.
Sure.
We had a top back in the summer at about 190, and we've been kind of consolidating ever since.
Yep.
Looks like we're painting a bull flag on the yearly chart, which is interesting to me. We've got signs of inflation. The dollar keeps getting crushed, and that is bullish for gold.
Yeah.
Gold is traded in dollars. The lower the dollar, the more gold you can buy. So
why do you think it's been slowly trending down then?
Bitcoin, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think
Makes
Bitcoin
sense.
is taking a lot of liquidity.
God, it's amazing that people are willing to
It's crazy.
sell gold to get Bitcoin. Like, I just can't believe that.
And I bet you a lot of people are not gold bugs, not people who are religiously following gold and who believe that it's going to go to 10 to 20K.
Sure.
And, whatever.
Sure.
Not saying these people are wrong. They could be right. Who knows?
Yeah,
but I don't think inflation is going to accelerate to the point where the global economy collapses and the only asset
it's not like that.
you have to rely on is gold.
No.
You're not going to be buying gold. You're going to be buying food and guns at that point.
That's true.
But anyway, I think that
I feel
Bitcoin
like a couple
is
EMPs could do that, maybe, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Right.
I remember thinking about that in the 90s.
Yeah, it's still a thing. I'm sure they're much more targeted now too. All right, so last one, UUUU. So, and you said this was
energy fuels.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So the reason I'm interested in uranium right now is because you have a supply problem. When the price plummeted a few years ago, you had a lot of miners and producers and explorers go out of business.
Sure.
It just wasn't cost effective. Now you're seeing a pickup in interest. China is aggressively building out their nuclear infrastructure.
Because they're trying to get rid of
upward pressure.
Rid of coal.
Yes. And nuclear energy over time is, provided you have the investment, the buying power, pays for itself.
Sure.
It can be very, very value-driven, a value-driven energy source.
Did you know the Mars rover is nuclear powered, the new Mars rover?
No, I did not know that.
How about them apples?
That's interesting.
Yeah, seriously.
Apples.
All right.
Yeah, but so I think this constraint on supply is going to put upward pressure on prices, make it more business-friendly for miners and producers.
Sure.
And as you can see on the chart, I mean,
if I'm looking at the 6 month,
skyrocketed.
It's I mean, it really has. In fact, it's the last 3 months it's really started to go up. 3 months ago it was $1.79, and it's pretty much tripled since then. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And it's not too late, folks. That, you know what? I might have to jump on that one.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Because the Fukushima happened a few years ago, and I think, Fukushima.
Yep.
And that incident has slowly been kind of vanishing from people's consciousness.
That's true.
Like people, I think about it less. They may be less afraid of investing in nuclear technology because when you think about it, nuclear technology is relatively safe.
Very safe.
It's much cleaner than coal.
Just happened to be an earthquake and a tsunami. I mean, but it's very, very safe, especially now because they've really found ways and, taking, instead of uranium rods, putting like little pellets. There's just, they just found a lot of ways to keep it from being able to melt down.
They're building mini nuclear reactors right now, which are more cost effective, easier to transport, provide a wider range of solutions for smaller scale projects.
Sure.
So
think of what you could do in like underdeveloped countries and communities.
Exactly.
I mean, seriously.
Exactly.
Seriously. That's all. Actually, if you could find a company that's investing in that that would be a good one to invest in. Company that's just
Yeah.
just really makes small nuclear reactors for stuff like that, for sure.
India is actually a country that has pioneered this technology as of late. Yeah.
India.
So maybe we have to do an episode on uranium.
So because
Cheers.
we said so, I mean, that's our number one country that listens to us after the United States is India. They hit us up pretty big, so we're happy. Yeah, I'd like to do one on that. I'd be totally down with that for sure. So, all right, well, I guess, it's about time to wrap this one up. What are your predictions for next week? So the VIX, we can do it. We do it every time.
I am going to err on the side of caution and say that we can possibly expect a small spike maybe early in the week, followed by a rapid decline. We will get a big spike at one point. We will get, a 10 to 20% correction. But I don't see the psychological setup for it yet.
Sure.
And what I mean by that is a lot of people are anticipating a market crash right now. A lot of people in the technical analysis community can't believe that prices are this high.
Sure.
And look, there's a good argument to be made that we may be a little overextended. That's what kind of possibly may have triggered the microcap meltdown.
It's the American way.
At the same time, whenever there's an expectation of a trade setup, it never happens, man.
Sure.
It never happens. Like a lot of people are expecting going into the March quarterly expiration, some sort of big crash. Could happen. The setup is there. The technical setup's absolutely there. Some funny things are happening with some of these VIX ETBs right now. We'll talk about it later, but I don't know. I'm skeptical that we get the massive cathartic market flush that so many people are expecting.
Sure.
It'll be too easy.
I just, I expect it to kind of keep humming along right now. That's pretty much what it's done. It's hard to think that it would do anything else. You've been talking about sooner or later it's going to close below 20. It just doesn't want to do it. So I expect Watt to dip. I had mentioned it. It does every single time. It's just a matter of how quickly it's going to. But you can see just a super big jump today. And I do expect it to go down. I'm going to buy back in. I feel like overall, the small caps are going to start rebounding. I think it was a good quality sell-off. I think it was a necessary sell-off. So we'll see. Hopefully the VIX drops, the small market, the small caps, the micro caps actually start perking up a little bit. And all in all, I think it was something that the market needed. That's for sure. So
cheers to that.
All right. Well, any last minute thoughts?
Have a good weekend, and I'm excited for next week.
Yeah, we'll see you guys on Sunday. We're going to actually be talking about my pick for the week, artificial intelligence. It's really, really cool.
Definitely excited for that.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. So, by the way, if anybody wants the track that we have opening and closing this show, you can email us at wearemarketpeak@gmail.com. I'll get the track back to you. It's actually by The Unsilenced, which is actually my record label. But I guess that's it. We'll see you guys in a couple days. Boom.